Welcome back to BetterAvecBourbon. Today we'll be doing a tasting of two Story brands of Japanese whiskey. The first being Suntory with their Hibiki Japanese Harmony. Hibiki, which translates to resonance, launched in 1989 to commemorate Suntory's 90th anniversary. To be considered Japanese whiskey, the whiskey's mash must contain malted grain, it must only use water sourced from Japan, and it must be fermented, distilled, aged, and bottled in Japan. And the other Japanese whiskey we'll be tasting is the Nikka Miyagikyo. But before going further, gather your whiskey, your Glencairns, and let's get to it. Hibiki is a whiskey blend made by Suntory, and with its 2014 acquisition of Jim Beam, Suntory has become the third largest maker of distilled beverages in the world. Suntory is a pioneer in Japanese whiskey, and in 1923, they opened the country's first commercial production whiskey distillery, Yamazaki. Both of these are sherried whiskeys, with part of Hibiki's blend being from a whiskey aged in sherry cask, and according to Sandy Lane Liquor, in total, the blend contains 10 malt whiskeys from Yamazaki, Hakushu distilleries, and grain whiskey from Chita, which are all Suntory distilleries in 5 different types of cask, including American white oak casks, sherry casks, and Mizunara oak casks. And unsurprisingly, it's imported from Japan by Beam. So on paper, there's a lot going on. Let's get this thing open. I do really like the artistry of the bottle, and I'll likely keep it long after it's empty as a decanter. Grab a clean Glencairn and fill about an ounce, or in my case 2 ounces, as I've got a plan for the rest after the tasting. About the whiskey, Suntory says amber color, and for the nose, rose, lychee, hint of rosemary, mature woodiness, and sandalwood. It's quite delicate in smell. For my nose, I get grain, apple, fruity, and definitely some sandalwood. It's got a clean profile, very precise. After swirling it around, the sandalwood and sherry become more distinct. Now whereas the Suntory only contained part sherry cask finish, the Nikka Miyagikyo is fully a sherry cask expression, and instead of a blend, it's a single malt. What connects these two brands is the founder of Nikka Whiskey, Masataka Taketsuro. Coming from a family of sake brewers, he was a chemist keen to enter the family business, but having taken to Scotch, decided to further his studies of applied chemistry in Glasgow, Scotland, where he also worked at several Scotch distilleries in the Scottish Lowland and Campbelltown regions. Returning to Japan in 1920, he became acquainted with Shinjiro Tori, who had founded Suntory in 1899, originally as a port wine producer. Grab another Glencairn and pour 1 to 2 ounces. Taketsuro needed a financier, and Tori was looking for his next venture. Taketsuro received the backing from Tori to create his distillery in exchange for a 10-year contract, and upon its conclusion, started what would become Nikka in 1934, and the Yoichi distillery was complete that same year on the island of Hokkaido, where he believed the climate was most similar to Scotland, as his ultimate goal was to create something more faithful to Scotch whiskey. Here are Nikka Miyagikyo notes via whiskey exchange. Deep gold color, and for nose, full-flavored, rich, initially concentrated iris notes hint at the extreme intensity of the nose. It then develops aromas of malted barley, exotic fruit such as banana, licorice, and camphor. Notes of burnt wood and ash progressively settle over the aromatic palate. Long after, white flowers and beeswax make an appearance. For my nose, I get malted barley, fruitiness from the sherry cask, and deep smoky oak, but not overpowering. After swirling, the deep fruity smell becomes more pronounced, but I wouldn't call it sweet. Much of Japanese whiskey's global success can be attributed to Taketsuro and Tori, the fathers of Japanese whiskey. Both of these whiskeys, despite having no age statement, seem to have great tannins, as you can notice the legs, or rather the whiskey clinging to the glass. Now let's give them a taste. For the Hibiki, they say honey-like sweetness, candied orange peel, and white chocolate, and a subtle, tender long finish, with a hint of Mizunara Japanese oak. I get a good mouthfeel, the oak is definitely present, a drying but a gentle tart green grape taste. It is sweeter than you'd expect for a whiskey, and I definitely get a honey flavor. A very unique taste for something adjacent to Scotch. For palate, Whiskey Exchange says of Nikka, firm, lively, malted barley is at the heart of the palate, coated in herbaceous, licorice, spiced, such as ginger or cinnamon, and chocolate notes. very elegant, the mid-palate also delivers plenty of energy as it draws to a close. Fresh tobacco leaves and coconut intertwine to create a natural symphony of aromas. Long, soft, it evokes the scent of wilted roses. Fine tannins balance its tangy character. It lingers on notes such as lemon, grapefruit, notes of tobacco spices such as cardamom and ginger, toasted nuts, and stewed fruits such as apple and damson. The final nose reveals exotic notes such as lychee. I get spiced smoked apple, floral with an oaky finish. Decent mouthfeel with good tannins, but the smoke is a bit more prominent like you'd expect with Johnnie Walker Black or other peated whiskies. Final thoughts on the whiskeys, the Nikka is going to be more familiar to Scotch drinkers, and I think it holds up to some of the finer peated whiskies. The Hibiki blend, on the other hand, is very unique. Little to no peat in comparison, and I think the sweeter notes come out more, making it perhaps a better choice for those who are new to Scotch, or whiskey more generally, or as a gateway into the world of Japanese whiskey. There's no outright winner. Hibiki gives you a sweeter sherry cask flavor, with minimal or no smoke. Nikka gives you a peated sherry cask, where flavors like apple and citrus fuse with the smoke. If you have a friend that prefers Johnnie Walker, they'll prefer Nikka, they like Aberlour, and then the Hibiki. Though the Hibiki is definitely a bit pricier between the two, at 91 USD at Total Wine, and although I'm seeing similar pricing for the Miyagikyo single malt, I was able to get it for about 66 USD including tax. Thanks everyone for watching. Do you have a favorite Japanese whiskey? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, hit that like button, press subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.